Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about Zybooks, and we're going to talk about how it works and how you can complete the assignments, at least in the first part of our course. As we get to later modules within this course, we'll be actually using PyCharm, and then you'll be programming like we do in the real world. For now, we're using Zybooks, which is just a programming interface or an interactive learning environment. So sometimes the instructions or problems that you solve may seem a little confusing. So let's talk a little bit about section 1.1, which is just general programming. So in this section, they begin to talk to you about the structure of Python code. So as you can see, and remember from your junior high school geometry, that the area of a triangle equals 1/2 times the base times the height. And so if we wanted to write a Python program to solve for the area of a triangle, we might use some code that looks similar to this. But in any event, for this problem or any problem, we need to have input, output, and some process. And all computer programs consist of these three requirements. So in the case of solving for the area of the triangle, we would need some input, which would be the base and the height of the triangle, and we would need some type of process, which would be multiplying this formula here, 1/2 times the base times the height. And then in order to show the results of this effort, we would need some output that would show, actually in this case, the area of the triangle. So getting back here, so now we know we need input, process, and an output. So that takes us to the participation activity 1.1.1, a basic computer program. So this really isn't programming. They're just talking kind of in the abstract, conceptually, about a particular problem that you would need to solve. So let's say you have a computer program where you want to get some input and assign it in a variable, and you'll learn what variables are later, called x, or let's just call this a placeholder for now. So we want to get some input and put it in x, get some additional input and put it in y. So now we have two input instructions. And then we want to do a process, which would say that this third placeholder or variable called z will contain the value of x plus y, and then we'll output it. So what's interesting about Zybooks is that it tries to simulate the real world running of programs. Someone would typically be sitting at a keyboard typing in some values, or maybe another program might send these values to your program. So it tries to simulate input, it tries to simulate processing, and it tries to simulate output. So it's telling you here that if you get some input, in this case 2 and 5, that's where we're getting these values from, we would output 7 to the screen based on this little program. So they explain to you here that this basic computer's program instructions are getting input, processing it, and putting output to the monitor. In this case, it's the output, the screen. The program assigns x with what is typed on the keyboard input. In this case, it's 2. The program's next instruction gets the next input value, which is 5, and then it does some processing and assigns the value in z. In this case, it's x plus y, or 2 plus 5. So the value in z is 7. And finally, it puts z, the output, in this case, to a screen. Now, when we program in Python, if we don't specify where we want our output to go, the default output is the screen. So now that takes us to program to participation activity 1.1.2. So it's asking you to fill in the blanks. They're saying this program has how many instructions? In this case, the answer is 4. And we could check our answer. It's 4 because this program, as we've discussed, has 2 input instructions, 1 processing instruction, and 1 output instruction, which totals 4 instructions. Now they give you another challenge and they say, suppose a new instruction were inserted as follows. And they're calling these commands that we're entering here instructions. These are instructions to the Python interpreter for work that it needs to do, or the Python program. So let's try it again. So let's say they're saying we add a new instruction. Z, now we're introducing a third variable or placeholder to store values for us, and we're going to assign to it the value of x plus y. So we're adding one more to Z, that's our new, and then we're going to add one more to Z as a new instruction. So we've got Z equals x plus y, which I guess we already had before. We're adding our new instruction, which is to add one more to Z, and then we're going to put this Z value to output. So they're saying, what would the last instruction then output to the screen? So they're not asking what is the last instruction, they're asking what is the value of the last instruction. And in this case, it would be 8. Because, remember from earlier, we've entered 2 and 5 as the input to our program from the keyboard, which gave us a value of 7. So if we add a new instruction to add one more to Z, and then put that to the output or print it or display it on the screen, our value would be 8. So now there's a third instruction here, or a third challenge question, and that's consider the instruction Z equals x plus y. If x is 10 and y is 20, then Z is assigned blank. So if we put 10 here where x is, and 20 here where y is, the answer has to be 30. Okay? So it's giving you a little comment that when we're programming this instruction, it has a different meaning than traditional algebra. We're just simply adding these two values. You can read this. So hopefully this will help you to better understand these programs, this particular exercise or assignment, and also to start thinking a little bit about how Zybooks works. It doesn't work like the real world. It tries to simulate input. It will tell you the keyboard input that's going into your program, and you have to use that as if your user entered it, and then it'll ask you for what would be outputted to the screen. Hopefully this helps you. If you have any questions, please let me know.